Well, the only team that took a quarterback last year in the first round, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Kenny Pickett, who I was reading somewhere has gained some weight. He's gotten stronger.
Good.
Gotten bigger.
He needs it.
Might take a step forward in year one wasn't too bad for him. There were some big moments for him. Steelers on the clock at 17. What are they thinking?
Well, Steelers, to me, is really pretty easy. I just look at them and go, okay. I mean, they could use a lot of things. They really could. They got to think about upgrading their D-line, right? They're getting older and outdated, right? There is some secondary people you could talk about. They lost to Cam Sutton. Edmonds, the safety, he moved on, right? But I think ultimately the number one problem we've talked about with their football team the last 2 or 3 years is what? O-line. They can't block. They can't open holes. They don't protect that well. Darnell Wright, Tennessee is going to fix those problems. Again, now this is where did I think of some other defensive linemen here? Maybe a Lucas Van Ness, that kind of guy. Maybe a Will McDonald. Will McDonald's another guy that, too, I'd like to say number 11 to the Titans could have possibly happened with him. I wouldn't be shocked. But going back to the Steelers, yes, they need a tackle. And Darnell Wright, to me, can play left or right. It doesn't really matter. Either way, he could start off at right. And I thought he was the best road grading, physically imposing tackle in the draft. He just doesn't have quite the long arms and the quick feet that some of the sexy guys have had over the years. But you don't see people go around him. And, again, Will Anderson, number 3 pick here. Gosh, he couldn't even sniff Hendon Hooker against this kid. So there's a lot to like, and I think it's a real positional need. And
safe to say, if he does go this late in the first round, you think he would be a steal right up there with Jalen Carter going 5 overall, right? This is a good lineman to go mid-late first round.
I wouldn't be shocked if he went 9 into the Bears, right? Yeah. I mean, I really wouldn't. So that wouldn't shock me. I mean, even like we talked about the Raiders at 7. Yeah, I like Darnell Wright better than Paris. I just think the Raiders would fancy that kind of guy, knowing my work with New England and McDaniel, that they would like that guy more. But yeah, you know who I like, and yes, I think that would be an incredible pick right there at pick 17.
You're right. I do know who you like, and when I look at the highlights of these guys, I'm always like, Chris is going to like that guy. Devin Witherspoon was one of those players, the corner out of Illinois, who went to the Lions with their first pick in this first round. Lions on the clock again. Give me someone else good. 18 overall.
Baby, you ready?
I'm ready.
I'm not going quarterback. I did think about it.
Ooh.
I did. Hendon Hooker still on the board, right? Hendon Hooker is – everybody in the NFL loves Hendon Hooker. It's just the knee, and is he going to play for us right now? And
Lions
just
don't
some
need
of that.
Lions don't need that.
So it certainly can be it. Again, I know a lot of teams is just off film. It was, C.J. Stroud and Hendon Hooker were their top 2, right? So, but I don't think it's that way. I think you got to still address the defense. And staying with Maze. E-Blue. Maisie Smith. Maze.
Yeah.
Right? Maze and Blue.
Yeah, Maze and Blue, Mozzie Smith.
Mozzie Smith,
right?
excuse me. Yes.
Close enough.
Mozzie Smith, defensive tackle, Michigan.
Yes.
Our big dancing bear, 330 pounds, 6'5". I mean, incredible athlete. You're talking about, again, I think a team that you don't have a marquee interior defensive lineman. Right? It's a team that I think, hey, you got a lot of the New Orleans old people there. They value big people in the middle. You haven't had that. I don't think you're horrible at that defensive tackle position, but here's a chance to get a real difference maker, right? And I guess there's that. I did think of Lucas Van Ness here too, because I was like, whoa, that could be a Dan Campbell, Rick Spielman type of guy, right? Hercules from Iowa. But I don't think that positions is a need, that edge D-tackle guy. They got Zach Pascal, they drafted from Kentucky. You got Kaminsky, who's like a Van Ness. Mozzie Smith is your true interior stop-and-run type of guy, let alone he's got some pass rush value because of how athletic he is. So Mozzie Smith.
So,
excuse me, going to your Detroit Lions.
Yeah, if you just went off the physical specimen of a man, he would be a top 10, maybe even a top 5 pick, but he's raw. There are some things on tape, gets handled sometimes too much, more so than you want a guy that saws
a little bit, yeah.
Size.
There's just a little too much. Yes, exactly right. That's what bothered me, right? Just there was a little too much whoa, you're too big to get moved like that there. But through and through, like we said at the time, There's rare that you can be that big and that athletic, and you get to see plenty of instances of when he does hold his ground and he does dominate people. You're just like, come on, do it more. You can do it more. I know you can. And that's where I think his potential and what he is why he goes off at 18.
19, Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Supply and demand, big guy. Supply and demand. I mean, this guy's not the number 19 pick in the draft. I mean, he probably should be somewhere between 30 and 40, really. But Anton Harrison, tackle from Oklahoma, yeah, this is you're getting to the end of the first round tackle conversation. Tampa Bay needs a freaking tackle badly. So this is the only guy here that makes sense. It's Tristan Wirfs, where I don't know if they maybe move him to left tackle or they keep him at right and just have this guy play left. Either way, we know this is a real need. Donovan Smith's gone. That's over. And you look at Tampa still, there's still a lot of things I like about their roster. And I just didn't think like anything else really matched up as far as value and what they need here more than anything. I thought that this made the most sense. I know some people think there's a D-line need there. I get it to a degree, but I still going to go, damn, you got Shaq Barrett, you got Tryon Shayanko, who you just took a few years ago, you got Vita Vea, right? I just don't think they're going to go that route. I think they got to help the rest of their team out a little bit here.
And this is not totally off the board, too, like a guy who you think is a second-round talent, really, because he's your number 4 offensive tackle as well. He's the number 4 offensive tackle off the board here.
Right. No, that's kind of when I went by. And I think he's, like I said, I think by most teams he's valued as, one of those guys that can go off the end at the end of the first round. But I think he's going to get a bump up just because of, hey, there was a run on tackles and there's only a few elite ones or the potential to be elite, and he's one of them.
Cole Strange, UT Chattanooga. Yeah, hopefully you have another moment like that. 20, Seahawks, second pick of the first round. They took Jalen Carter with their first pick.
They're going to go more defensive line here. They're going more defense. It's the Seahawks. I know they weren't happy with their defensive line last year. I know they weren't. And that's where they're going to go Nolan Smith from Georgia.
More Georgia.
Yeah. They're going to get 2 Georgia guys, right? Nolan Smith he's got a chance to be, a superstar pass rusher. You're Hassan Reddick. He could maybe even be a Von Miller. He's got that type of explosive ability, strength for his size, bend around the edge. I mean, he's awesome. Again, I think if he's a little bit bigger and he doesn't have injuries, he's definitely going in the top 10 or 12. He's one of those where, again, he might be a little low here. Somebody else might grab him. But as I just kind of went through, I think this one's the one that makes sense. And, again, I thought about quarterback here too. Quarterback, Seahawks, second pick. Maybe they could do it, right? But I know they like Geno. They got something good there. Why mess with that formula and what you got? Use the pick on something that can help your team out right now. You went to the playoffs. You got a Jalen Carter and this type of guy with DeMarcus Walker they got in free agency too. And you just go, Seattle could go from being in the cellar on a defense to one of the top defenses in football just with that talent infusion right there.
I always think about this too. A guy like Nolan Smith is a guy that some people could fall in love with, and other people could say, no, the size is really a problem, and we don't want him in the first round. And he could go, 12. And people say, well, he's more of a 20 guy or more of a 25. But the team picking 12 is not picking in the 20s. And maybe no one will trade down or let them, trade up to let them trade down.
Exactly.
And so it's like, what are you supposed to do? You like the guy? You take him 8 picks too early? Sometimes it's worth it to get the guy you want.
I don't think it's crazy to go like Atlanta at 8. Okay. I don't think it's crazy to think if the Texans didn't get a pass rusher, maybe at 12. The Jets would certainly like that type of pass rusher. So those are teams that I think would fit, at least he'd fit their mold of what they wanted, that type of player at least.
So off the board, another Georgia guy on defense, Nolan Smith.
Yeah.
21, the Chargers. They got to figure out a way to stop teams from coming back from 30-something points down in the playoffs. So do they go defense with their first-round pick?
Well, I mean, they could use another interior D-lineman, in my opinion, but it's not desperate. They're not desperate at that spot. And then, 2, I want to go, like, how many billions are we going to spend on the defensive side of the ball? I mean, we got Bosa. We got Khalil Mack. You got Kenneth Murray at middle linebacker. You got Derwin James at safety. You got J.C. Jackson at corner. You got Samuel at the other corner. I mean, damn. I mean, it's right. So it's time to go Justin Herbert's side here. I thought about tight end. I don't know if there's a tight end here that fits the value. I would love Sam Laporta. I think I'm okay with that. You know me. I think Laporta is better than Michael Mayer.
Yeah.
But I think when it comes down to it, they go receiver. They got to start going in on Justin Herbert here. And Zay Flowers is where I'm going. Zay Flowers, like I've said, Jalen Waddle, Kadarius Toney, Brandon Cooks, whatever. He could be that type of football player. They already got size at receiver. They need some of these weapon guys. They need a guy that can catch a 5-yard pass and go up the sidelines for 30 more yards. They don't have that. They got Mike Williams. He could throw it 40 yards down the sideline, and he'll just go up and get it. They got Keenan Allen, who will run unbelievable routes for 10 and 15-yard gains all day long. They got no guy that can catch a slant, take a reverse, do anything like that, right? They need that. Zay Flowers. He'll be able to run routes, beat people deep, be the reverse speed sweep guy. I think he makes a lot of sense for the Chargers.
Your number one wide receiver, when you did your rankings, he is the first wide receiver off the board for you in your mock draft. I think we have the first wide receivers selected in the last 5 drafts. There is some talk that it might be Jackson Smith and Jigba in this spot as the first wide receiver off the board.
I hear you.
How have they done here in the past? Well, Drake London, I think maybe a little bit of a slow start, but a good finish to the year for him in Atlanta. Jamar Chase, obviously very good. Henry Ruggs, a bust, was off-field issues, obviously. Marquise Brown, lukewarm on that. Who knows if it's the situation or the fit, but he has not lived up to that first-round billing. And DJ Moore, a guy who you like that has inconsistent quarterback play around him for most of his NFL career.
That's right. I mean, DJ Moore and Jamar Chase, we know they worked out. That's for sure. There's no debate there. They're stars. Right?
Yeah.
London, I'm with you.
Yeah,
I think it's there.
And Pete notes, too, sorry, Chris, that the total number of wide receivers in the first round, we had 6 just last year, 5 the year before that, and then 6 in 2020. We might only see 2.
I think you might only see 1. I wouldn't be shocked. I don't think it's crazy, But yeah, I could say it go from 1. The one I don't know, and I haven't talked to anybody who feels this way. The one I do see is, the Addison kid from USC.
Yes,
Jordan Addison. I don't know anybody that holds him in that high in regard, but I see other people's mocks. There must be somebody they're talking to that's got him in a higher up there. I've yet to talk to that person. We'll see. But Zay Flowers, to me, was my favorite guy. I think he's the safe one, too, here. Again, where, we'll dive into it in a little while. But I think Jackson Smith and Jigba, it's a little all over the place with him. And Quentin Johnson, the bigger straight liner guy, he's not everybody's cup of tea, the kid from TCU. So that's where I think Zay Flowers will be the first guy off the board.
All right, we'll get to Smith and Jigba, or will we? Will he drop out of the first round? Little suspense. 22 Ravens, defensive secondary, perhaps an issue for them. We saw it as Tua tore him up early on in the year last year, even though they addressed it with Kyle Hamilton last year. Ravens, holes to fill. Where do you see them going?
Yeah, I think this is where I got into corner, I think, more than not. There's a part of me that was thinking maybe receiver, but, I mean, damn, they got OBJ and Bateman, and they signed Nelson Aguilar, right? Their Duvernay's there. They got some guys there to where I go, it's not like a desperate need. And, of course, they got really good tight ends. D tackle, I thought about that a little bit, but I think ultimately I'm going corner, and that's where I'm going. Deonte Banks, Maryland. Going to a guy that's right around the corner. And I'm a little into that. Like your Lions taking Mozzie Smith, right? I always feel like the team's got a little bit of they usually have the in on the schools that are close to their facility, right? And I'm going to say that the Ravens have the in on Deonte Banks. They've done more than their due diligence, let alone he's their type of guy. You know why. This is why I love this kid. I mean, he is in your face, mano-a-mano, bring it type of guy, which is what? Baltimore Raven football.
Yeah.
So that's where I see that happening, and I think it makes a lot of sense for their football team, and I've heard from some people I trust that they're very hot on him.
All right, so Pete notes in my ear that we have seen that work out in the past. Aiden Hutchinson staying
there you go,
close to home.
There's a lot of them.
You got Mozzie Smith
sure.
staying close to home again. You got Kenny Pickett, who's right next door.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
So,
there's more. I think even if I went through it even more, there's a lot of that's gone on through the years with football teams.
All right, so we got the Minnesota Vikings.
Cowboys taking CeeDee Lamb, right? I mean, they always take somebody from down there because they got good connections in those schools.
Well, let's keep it going. The Vikings at 23. Let's go with John Michael Schmitz out of Minnesota, center. Let's just do that because we'll keep it close to home. Why not? We got a new theme. Chris is checking his notes. He's like, wait, did I do that?
I literally was like, wait, did I write that down? Does he have a typo there?
He's like, I can justify it.
Okay.
No, it's not. We're not going that way.
No, we're not. But we're going Vikings, pick number 23.
Right, yeah.
Right? They do need defense. Okay. Now, I thought about, do I do with Minnesota? I don't. There's one corner on the board. I don't think they need a corner. I don't know. This could be the kid Cam Smith from South Carolina or Forbes from Mississippi State. Mm-hmm. That certainly has crossed my mind there, right? I thought about hey, could an edge guy be a part of the conversation here too, right? I've thought about all of that. But they did get Marcus Davenport in free agency. They do have Zadarius Smith and Danielle Hunter. So I don't see it where I thought about maybe a Will McDonald or somebody like that. The other one was Big D tackle-ish, right? There's no Dalvin Tomlinson. They lost him. There's only one D tackle in Brian Brzee, but I don't think he's going to fit the Brian Flores, what he likes at D tackle. I don't think. Quarterback. Hendon Hooker, Tennessee Titans. Here it is. Yeah, going for it. You got a quarterback head coach. Offense is important. We all know this is Kirk Cousins last year there. They got a chance here to build something with Justin Jefferson. I got a guy here that's ready right now. And then I'm telling you, he's, by a lot of people, viewed as way higher than the 23rd pick of the draft. It's just, can he get to a team that believes him and needs a quarterback and all that. And I think this is the one that finally it was too obvious. Hendon Hooker, Minnesota Vikings.
I don't want to make another bet where you have to kiss your own backside.
Well, I could one cheek at a time here.
But how confident are you that Hendon Hooker will go in the first round?
I'm more than 50-50. Let's say 60-40, right? But I don't think it's definitive. There was parts of me, too, that was well, maybe I should do the old, the Titans trade up, right, from round and get pick 31 from the Chiefs. Or, I started to think of, little scenarios like that, right? Even as I was mapping it out, maybe the Falcons will do it if they didn't take C.J. Stroud. I started to do all those. So I could see where that happens. Either way, to me, he's got big-time starting quarterback potential, and I would want him to have the option of the 5 years, like we talked about, the fifth-year option. So I think ultimately, yes. That's why I'm probably more than 60-40, 70-30 confident that he goes in the first round.
Which is why you see that. Yeah. The teams will trade in last pick of the first round just to get that guaranteed fifth year, or at least the option for that.
It's extremely important.
Fifth year if things are going in the right direction. 24, you got the Jacksonville Jaguars. They don't need a quarterback. They got their guy in Trevor Lawrence. Looked like a franchise quarterback last year, so where do they go?
Well, this is, I just brought this name up. But I look at the damn Jacksonville Jaguars and go, corner, okay, maybe part of the conversation. All right, I certainly thought about that. But more than anything, and I know this just from firsthand, they weren't happy with their interior D-line play last year. All right? So that's where I'm going to go with Brian Brzee. Right? They're O-line. I know they lost Juwan Taylor. They got Walker Little. They got other guys there. Right? Corner, I could see maybe being a part of the conversation. Right? So that was a possibility. But Brian Brzee, I felt like he can be – you remember Justin Smith on the 49ers?
Oh, yeah.
Right? That GM, Trent Baalke, well, he's the GM of the Jaguars now. Right? I feel like it's a desperate need for their football team. It's the only part of their team I actually look at and go, I know they have Roy Robinson Harris. He's kind of a edge, 5 technique and defensive tackle, kind of both. But it's the only part of their team I look at and go, they don't really have a real good player at that position. And I think, again, we're talking about a guy that's 300-plus pounds, that athlete, that quick. He's pretty good at two-gapping and doing that type of stuff. I think this is a hell of a player. I do. He could be like a Siler down in Miami, number 92, white guy, crazy guy in the middle of that defense. I think that's what he could be, but I think it's a real need for their team. I could see them wanting to go this direction.
Yeah, one of the top
I
prospects.
don't have a feel for them. I don't have a feel.
The Jaguars.
I don't have a great feel for what they're going to do or hearing rumors or anything about that, so I'm not going to lie to you there.
Just big, strong dudes.
Yeah.
To add to the big, strong dudes that they already have there, and Brian Brizzi would be one of those.
Yo, thanks for watching, homies. It's the off season, but there's no off season for us here at Unbuttoned. Me, Ahmed Fareed, we're going to hit all the stories. So hit subscribe for us, okay? We got a ton coming up. My draft prospect rankings, my Simms top 40 quarterback countdown, and videos of me and NFL QBs playing catch and talking about their development and mechanics. Again, thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe. Peace out, homies. See you soon.